I've never been up here before.
Congratulations this evening. It was not an easy one, man. You guys were going in there and trading bombs and busted up. Give me an idea what you feel like right now, emotionally and physically.
Well, I said it wasn't going to be easy. I said that we were going to go in there, cut each other up, we were going to bleed, people were going to get hurt. That's what we did, and I got my first decision victory, man. This is something I see my career moving forward in the positive direction, and I'm happy with that. I'm getting better, shows room for growth. That's always good. You know, you can't, you know, I can't just know everything yet. So, man, I'm ready to relax and have some fun, get even better.
It's funny because we don't often hear fighters, you know, be excited about a decision win, right? But it did seem like you were kind of being more measured, being, you know, patient and tactical, even though you were throwing everything with power. Is that fair to say that, you know, you were trying to take a more measured approach, and is that you know, a result of the camp change?
Yeah, I was trying to get the techniques and the way that we had been working them in the gym and on the pads. I felt a few times that they weren't coming out the way that I wanted them to. Some of his knees to the body were affecting that, the way that I had been working the level changes and to the side. A couple times I went to move my head, a little jab, slip to try to work in the. So, you know, when you make a mistake like that, it makes you think, and thinking in there can slow you down. Slow the fight was. I don't know how good we did. I'd like to watch it. I know there was lots of blood, and hoping we got fight of the night.
I imagine you're going to want a little time off, as you said, to kind of rest and relax. You were getting headlines, you know, being a
events. That's what I see in the future, because, you know, even after a rough fight like that, I feel I could have went 10 more minutes. I'm getting ready. I'm ready for 25-minute fights, and you know, having fun all week may have had something to do with the way I performed. You know, I don't want to lock myself in the hotel room and just you know, be bored all week. I want to have fun. This is, you know, this is the best job in the world and probably the hardest job in the world. So might as well have a good time while I'm doing it.
Mike, you're talking about having a good time. Is it possible that you were actually enjoying yourself during that fight? What goes through the mind of a fighter when you're engaging in such a bloody back-and-forth war like that with someone like Paul Felder?
You know, I was trying to have a good time, and there were times when I was failing with that. I wasn't having as much fun. That might have been when I was running into those knees or those right hands. But then, like the third round, when I started putting things together, I heard my corner yelling, you know, have fun in there, you know, get moving, dance a little. And I started doing those things. And, you know, if I can perform in there the way I can run a great show for all of you, I hope that was a good show, man. This is what I do it for. I want to leave some videos in history that people are going to watch 100 years from now and enjoy.
All sort of barn burner wars, but it's a short career. And how many of these can you actually go through before you start to slow down?
Like I'm saying, to be honest with you, after that war, I feel like I don't feel that bad. I feel like I can get back in the gym, ice my legs a little bit, you know, get in the ice bath. The PEI has a nice little ice bath that I like to jump into. That thing is very relaxing. So I think a couple days in that, and I'm ready to spar. I'm ready to work. I mean, obviously, I got to let these stitches get taken out first. I don't want to open these cuts, but I don't think I took the damage that he did. I mean, in the first 15 seconds, we had a little clash of headbutts. And, you know, the first thing I thought was, well, that makes the fight look better.
Mike, To your left, right here front. Now that you got the camp change under your belt, win with the new camp, how would you characterize what that camp change has meant to you compared to maybe if you were in that fight tonight but you hadn't made the change? What do you feel like were the biggest benefits, what paid off?
Kickboxers, he's the type of coach that he doesn't just hold.
Coming in with my right hand, because, you know, I'm real vulnerable whenever I come in with my right hand because I just throw it straight and I lean over whenever I throw it. And I know he tried to catch me coming in and hit me with an uppercut or left hook. So that was the game plan, really. And really, the game plan was to take his ass down. And I already told my coach, I don't know how to take down. I don't know how to do the takedowns.
Right, and you say that set you back 2 fights. So is there anyone that you think makes sense for you? I mean, it looks like DC is going to be fighting Brock Lesnar from all indications.
Should have really pushed the pace. But, you know, I also had to fight smart, too, because he is very dangerous on the feet.
What's going through your head? I mean, I'm sure you can hear the crowd. I'm assuming you can hear the boos, the frustration. I mean, is there any part of you that says, hell with the game plan, I got to open up, you know, we're here to put on a show?
Yeah, for sure. It was embarrassing, you know. Shit, I wanted to go, but my body wouldn't let me, you know. So either that or really try to get knocked out, you know. But it is what it is.
And lastly for me, Derrick, I mean, let's talk long term. I mean, your back's been an issue for a while, right? And you're admitting it bothered you again tonight. You're a fan favorite, you're a contender, but I mean, is this something that could potentially shorten or threaten your fighting career?
I don't know. You know, my wife, she really wanted me to take care of my back before I even accept any type of fights, you know. But it's just the dog in me that I always want to fight no matter what. But yeah, I know I need to take it more serious, and the doctor has already told me that I need to lose at least 25 pounds and stuff like that, and need to stretch a lot more than what I have been doing to try to help my back out.
Derrick, to your left, right here in the front. Derrick, to your left. There was no post-fight interview, so you didn't really have an opportunity to say anything to the crowd. If you had a minute to address them, what would you have said if you had that post-fight interview?
I don't know. I wouldn't have said nothing. So I know it was a bad performance. I was just would apologize to the fans and, you know, everybody that betted against me. Really, you know, I know a lot of people betted against me because I was a heavy underdog. Straighten up over there. I know you probably betted against me too, George. Yeah. You know, I'm really happy that I got the win because I know I was a heavy underdog and mofos didn't take me real serious anyway, so I'm glad I got the win.
Derrick, do you feel like you've built up enough equity, though, in your previous, well, throughout your career, and in the UFC, you've had some spectacular performances, KOs. I mean, every fighter, I think, has fights where maybe they're not happy with them, but you got the result. You're gonna I feel like you're letting this tear you down too much.
No, because I wanted to knock his ass out. God damn, I wanted to knock him out. He talking all that shit before the fight, and I just wanted to knock him out. He whispered in my ear talking about I'm gonna go to sleep. And so I really wanted to knock him out. So anything besides a knockout is disappointing.
Derrick, did you get a chance to speak to Francis at all after the fight, and did he maybe share his feelings on why the fight ended the way it did?
No, not at all. Because he don't understand English anyway, so it would have been a waste of time. That's it.
$1.7 million. Attendance was 17,500. It was a sellout. What we did was, it was such a good night. It was a hard night we did performance bonuses for Cormier, Roundtree, Pettis, and Costa. So no fight of the night. We just did 4 performance bonuses. Who's got the first question?
Yeah, pretty, as you said, pretty entertaining night. Ended with an incredible finish. Can you talk about, I guess, your reaction to watching that fight play out, and where do you think DC now ranks all time in the history of UFC?
One of the best of all time. You know, this was the right fight for him. In that, if you think about his career, he steps down from heavyweight to go to light heavyweight because his friend is a heavyweight. So he goes to 205, has an incredible career down there, but has that John Jones thing. You know, and John Jones is, in my opinion, you know, if not one of the greatest of all time. Could be the potential that John Jones had. Who knows what he could have done at heavyweight and everything else. So he's got the shadow of John Jones. Moves back up to heavyweight and knocks out the best heavyweight ever in UFC history in the first round decisively. I think that what this does is finally gives him the respect that he deserves. And you know, he's a two-division champion, and you know, now he's got a big fight ahead of him. You know, a big fight, big payday, and it couldn't happen to a better guy. He's an incredible ambassador for the sport. I said a long time ago, I told Daniel, if you're my champion for the rest of my career, I'll be a very happy man. He's a great analyst. He does a great job on television. I just can't say enough good things about the guy, and I'm really happy for him.
I mean, just to get clear on the record, it seems obvious the Lesnar fight is next. Normal, you can say for a fact that is the fight between both.
Yeah, we're definitely going to make that fight. So Lesnar hit me up a couple days ago and says, sorry I'm a dark on you, but I had some stuff I had to take care of, and I'm going to come to the fight this weekend. Okay. See you Saturday. You know, he came here tonight, he was all fired up, if you couldn't tell. I mean, right when he got to my seat on the side, he was acting like a lunatic. He was fired up and excited for this fight. His gut told him Stipe, because he felt that Cormier put too much weight on for this fight. He thought it was going to affect him, and it didn't.
The second half of the year calendar was announced tonight. Is there a date on that calendar that makes sense for this fight?
I don't know right now. You know, we're still, we had this night tonight. We got July 28th. And then we can really start working on the end of the year stuff, you know, September, October, November, December.
And last thing on this fight, I mean, it's not the fun side to talk about, but it's real. I mean, there's USADA issues, right? I mean, there's time away, there's, you know, pending it. So has he been testing? Is he going to be? What can you tell us?
So the process has started. They started the process last week. I don't know where they are in the process, but he's going to pop up on the board here soon. Monday or Tuesday, or I don't know. I don't know where they are in the process. Huh?
That Fighter X wasn't him.
What do you say?
That Fighter X wasn't him. There was an anonymous fighter at one point that was listed on the USADA roster.
I have no idea.
Question. And last thing for me, Dan, I know it was only 48 hours ago, but I want to ask you about Max Holloway. In that 48 hours, have you heard anything new, any medical update?
No. We've been, first of all, that fight falls out, so we're trying to figure out, you know, get Holloway taken care of to make sure, you know, he's okay. Then, you know, Cormier falls at the press conference on his back. He was hurt. He hurt his leg. He had to go home. It swelled up. He had to ice it, you know. So he iced his leg, and he called me maybe about midnight, 1 in the morning, and said, I'm okay. I feel good. I iced my leg, and I think I'm going to be okay. I was worried about his back because during this camp, he threw his back out. Yeah, during this camp, he threw his back out and actually didn't train for a minute. And I think that's probably why he put the weight on too, but I'm just speculating. You're gonna ask him those questions.
Can you get that microphone?
But yeah, so I was more worried. Think about this, guys. Seriously, think about this. So when we're going, forget the abomination of the heavyweight fight that happened. I mean, the card was so good. You just, yeah, all right. We had one bad fight. What are you gonna do? But when you look at this card, right, and the fights are all
you know, going, Pettis looks better than he's looked. You know, it looked like when he was a champion, that's how he looked tonight. You know, the Felder-Perry fight is a war. Those guys are standing toe-to-toe, bleeding all over the place, going at it. You know, Roundtree has the unbelievable knockout. The Costa fight is unbelievable. And now imagine we're going to these fights, and you imagine if the co-main event had stayed in there, because you know that co-main event would have been ridiculous. And then the main event, I was sitting there seriously going, this might have been the most epic card that we've ever done. And it's hard to say that because we've had so many great cards, but yeah, it was a good night. It was a good night. I'm happy it's behind me and ready to move on to July 28th. But good night, really good night.
Dana, right here.
Yeah.
So you were in the cage, obviously, with Brock, and you mentioned that he was excited after when he was sitting next to you. What did you think of kind of Brock's theatrics? I mean, we've seen Brock and DC on a card before. They have, you know, there is some sort of relationship there. What did you think about that?
So they've known each other a long time, and the whole wrestling thing, and they talk a lot of shit to each other about wrestling and who would have won in wrestling and who would have done this and that. And I know you can ask Cormier about it, but there is a thing with those two on, you know, who would win. And now they're going to find out.
What did you say to him when he pushes, you know, when he pushes DC? What were you saying to him in the cage?
I said, calm down, relax, stop. We get it. There's going to be a fight. Calm down. Yeah, they were both fighting. Did you see DC push me up against the cage? Man, I'm too old for this shit. You can't be doing that to me. And they were all fired up. Everybody in there was crazy. Then Cormier's little guy starts running over, pushing Brock, and I'm like, this is about to turn into a shit show that the commission is not going to like. So I just tried to get everybody to chill out. And
awesome. Last question. Paulo Costa, you mentioned he won a performance bonus tonight. What did you think about his performance? And you're going, they released the schedule, you're going to Brazil in September. Is he someone that you could headline a card with in Brazil? Yeah,
I think that kid is the next big Brazilian star. He's on his way. Good looking, incredible physique, and fights like an animal. And I was also impressed with Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall went out there. Now, the guy that I thought Uriah Hall was going to be at the end of the Ultimate Fighter was the guy that I saw fight tonight. That was the guy that I expected him to be after the Ultimate Fighter. He fought an incredible fight tonight. He was in his face. He was, you know, every time he'd get hit, he'd punch back with 2 or 3 punches, kicks. And it was awesome. Great fight.
Dana, right here. Obviously a tough result for Stipe, but you mentioned you know, his accomplishments. How would you best encapsulate his last 2.5 years about and what he's done for the heavyweight division?
Yeah, you know, what he's done has been unbelievable. He broke the record, and in this fight, when that fight started, you know, these guys went right at each other. They stood in each other's face. Both guys kept pressing forward. Nobody was running, staying away. These guys went in and went toe to toe, both getting hit with big shots. And it was, you know, when you want to see a great heavyweight championship fight with what was on the line for both guys tonight, you couldn't have wrote it any better than how they fought. Both of them fought an incredible. I thought that fight was great. Stipe's 2.5 year, yeah, awesome. And Stipe's not done yet. Stipe's one of the best in the world, and he'll be back.
Dana, do you feel like going into the fight, it might have been better for you had Stipe won the fight? Just, you know, you look long term. He's going to be around where DC has a date that he's going to retire, and yet we say that before the fight, and now after that epic event, you know, here we're talking about a massive pay-per-view that is going to be one of the biggest you've ever done. You know, the change so quickly was amazing.
Yeah, when we go into fights like this, the old me, over 13 years ago, used to go, oh my God, we need this guy to win and we need that guy to win. I don't even think like that. None of that stuff even crosses my mind. Because you can't, this sport's so crazy, you don't know who's going to win and who's not going to win. I thought Saki was going to be the next big, you know, I thought he was going to be the next big thing. You don't know. Anything can happen. And one thing that I've learned over the years is however it plays out is the way that it was meant to play out, and then we just go from there.
And I just want to see if you can go into DC a little bit more. What makes him so great? Because you look at him and you say, you know, he doesn't have the great physique like Costa has, and, you know, he doesn't seem like incredibly quick, and, you know, he's a wrestler, not a boxer maybe, but he seems like he does everything well. Like, can you put your finger on why he is so good?
He's such a unique guy, man, in every way, shape, and form. He's so articulate. He's a really smart guy. I love the way when he's commentating how he can break down a fight and explain it to you. It's almost like Rogan. He's so good. He's great at interviewing people. Then you talk about him as a fighter, right? Yeah, he definitely doesn't look like a fighter. Looks out of shape, looks heavy, you know. When you think about him going in there now with a heavyweight, if you notice in the beginning of the fight, every shot he landed on Stipe was busting Stipe up, both his eyes, his nose. So he's got a lot more power than he gets credit for. You know, when he goes in against somebody wrestling, the slam that he had on Dan Henderson, to do that to a guy like Dan Henderson, holy shit. You know, and just he's such a well-rounded, incredible human being. Forget about fighter. He's just, I love Cormier, and I can't say enough good things about him.
I know you don't ever tell people to not retire or whatever. You know, if they want to retire, you say they should retire. But he obviously doing this, you know, is going to be invigorated, right? I mean, do you think there's a chance that would you think, you know, he may go on beyond his self-imposed deadline given what happened and the way the crowd, you know, he's been booed in the past. The crowd reacted positively to him before the fight. Do you think that may change him and, you know, kind of spark him to, you know, run with that belt for a while?
He's starting, he's, like I said, he's going to start getting the respect he deserves and has deserved for a while now. But when I look at Daniel Cormier's performance tonight at heavyweight, retirement doesn't even come close to popping into my mind.
Hey, Data, right here. Sorry, to your right. Two quick questions. With Brock back in the pool, is that a 5-month or 6 months?
Don't quote me. Nowitzki's the guy to talk to, but I think it's 6 months.
And lastly, was the idea for Brock to be there to challenge whoever won? You know, obviously Cormier was the guy, but was the plan for whoever won to...
Yeah, whoever won, he wanted the winner.
Yeah. Dana, right here. You talked briefly about the co-main event, but to you, just thoughts on Francis Ngannou? I mean, he had so much momentum behind him going into the Stipe fight, shows the flaws in his game a little bit, then comes back and has this fight where he throws, you know, 17 strikes the entire fight, something like that. Where do you feel a guy like that goes from here?
Horrible. You know, I think that... you know, he had a pretty quick rise here, and obviously the fight over Alistair Overeem, you know, catapulted him. You know, everybody was talking about him. I thought he was going to be the next guy. I think his ego ran away with him, big time. I can tell you that his ego absolutely did run away with him. And the minute that happens to you in the fight game, you see what happens. You start to fall apart. I had some personal encounters with him, as did other people in the organization. And this guy's ego just was so out of control. It's like before the Stipe fight, he took off and went to France. Didn't even really train for that fight. And you see the results. Well, then he comes back and he did train, but ego is what hurt Francis Ngannou.
And then what about Derrick? I mean, he mentioned that his back was giving him some big problems again going in there, and he admitted that he felt that even though he won, his stock ended up dropping. Do you give him any leeway going
I don't
in there
agree.
injured?
I don't agree that his stock dropped. And that's a problem that he's going to have. He's a fun guy. He's funny. He's, you know, when he gets in there and throws, the fights are exciting. But he always has problems with his back. And that is going to be a problem for him, you know, in there with... You know, you don't want to go in there with a bad back with Cormier or, you know, any of these other heavyweights. And, but I like him, and I don't think that his stock drops at all. He won the fight. You know, if you look at his fights, tell me the last time he was in a boring fight. Tonight. Tonight was the last time he was in a boring fight. And like I said, the card was so good tonight, people will forget about that. And the heavyweight championship was so good, it was immediately erased from people's memories.
And I know you don't talk about, you know, matchmaking title shots on the night of the fight.
But you're going to ask me anyway?
Yes.
Okay.
Rafael Assunção, he's 11-1 in the UFC. You know, beat most of those guys in the division. He feels like he should be next for TJ or
Who
Cody.
does?
Rafael Assunção. who
Okay.
won on the undercard. Do you feel like, you know, being 11-1 in this weight class that he's earned that shot?
Yeah, the thing is that you got to remember about Asuncion. That's easy to say. Hey, this guy's 11-1. Why hasn't he got this? Why hasn't he got that? That guy disappeared for a while. He had some injuries. He was gone for a while. Then he recently just came back, and he's starting to fight again. That guy never loses. That is true. Who beat him? TJ? Yeah. No, he's a stud. You know, now he's gotten a little more consistency, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Mike sort of asked my first two questions, but I am from Calgary, and you've mentioned July 28th a couple times. So
I'm excited.
That's a Fox card, not a pay-per-view, but you are really circling that one as sort of the next big one?
Yeah, I'm going. It's my birthday. That's my birthday card. I'm going up and celebrating my birthday in Calgary, and I'm going to that fight. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited. I have owed Calgary this event for a long time, and you know, we got a great card, and that city was really good to us. Very, very good to us, because we went up there. We had one of the best cards we'd ever put together, and literally everybody fell off the card more than once. And I said, rest assured, the card will be great. The card sucked, okay? I was wrong. The card sucked. We owe Calgary this one, and I'm excited to get up there and repay everybody.
Dana, to your right, over here. What exactly is Brock's deal with WWE? Obviously, he's still part of their roster. How does that factor into this?
You know, he's free and clear to do this fight. You know, him and Vince have a good relationship, and you know, he's not going to do anything to piss Vince off, and so I don't know the specifics, but he's good.
Have you spoken to Vince at all about this?
I have not.
Do you plan on shooting him a text? I know that you guys are texting buddies nowadays.
No, probably not. These guys are aware. He lets him know what's going on, and he's in the loop.
Brock is coming off the no contest, which, you know, got overturned to against Hunt. How do you feel like he deserves a title shot in this situation? I know some people will probably give you guys some criticism for that.
Yeah, listen, people are going to criticize us no matter what we do. But, you know, Brock came in, you know, he popped for that thing, but he beat Mark Hunt, who was one of the top guys. He's a former world champion, and it's a fight that people want to see. And it's definitely a fight that Cormier wants. Cormier wants that fight. And I guarantee if Stipe won, Stipe would have wanted that fight too.
And just for clarification, he does still have about 6 months left on his suspension, so this couldn't really happen until, I guess, around January, I would imagine, right?
So maybe I got to talk to Cormier. We haven't talked about any of this stuff yet, but we will. We'll talk this week about the two belts. What do you want to do? This and that. Maybe he defends his light heavyweight. Yeah, exactly. He said?
Yeah, apparently he's on FS1 since he wants to defend his 205 title before he fights Brock.
There we go. He's the guy I would let do that.
Thanks, Dana.
Dana, right here. You mentioned some Saki earlier on. Where does he go from here, considering now he's 1-2 and he's coming off that first-round knockout loss?
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I like the kid. He's fun to watch fight. We'll see what's next. I'll get him another fight.
And with DC now the heavyweight champion, he's facing Brock next year. Does that make the Vulcan Gustafsson fight possibly for an interim title fight if that fight's coming way far down the line?
No, I wouldn't make that an interim fight. The heavyweight champion is ready to go, and you know he's got to defend his other title. No.
Dana, over to your right at the front.
Hey.
We didn't get to hear from you after the fights last night. Israel Adesanya put in a spectacular performance to beat Brad Tavares. Just wondered if you could give us your view on his potential in the UFC.
I agree. Incredible. The kid looks great. First fight against a real. I wanted to see how he could defend Brad Tavares' takedowns, and he did a great job. Wow. And obviously his striking is phenomenal. I mean, his head movement is striking, the way he moves, everything. He reminds me of a cross between Anderson Silva and John Jones, the way this guy fights. And it's his first fight breaking into the top 10. And now we'll get him another fight, you know, that will help build him. 5-rounder, looked good for 5 rounds, looked strong, never really got tired. So, yeah, I expect big things from that kid.
He said he wanted the winner of the Uriah Hall Paulo Costa fight. Does that
Is that what he said?
Costa versus Adesanya? Sounds like a decent
Damn.
main event for somewhere.
That's that's awesome. I like that he wants that fight. It's probably not the fight that's going to happen, but I like that he wants it. Cool.
Just one from me, Dana. You announced the rest of the schedule for 2018 today. Conor McGregor's camp have been saying that you guys are talking to them about this fight, what could be in an ideal circumstance. Where, when, and where do you want this fight to happen?
You know what? I'm not even thinking about Conor till I'm serious. I know they're saying there's talks. We're not talking about a fight right now. Conor has to get through July. He's got to get through whatever's going to happen to him in July. We'll figure that out. I don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to get fined? Is he going to be on probation? Is he going to get this, that? When that's over with, then we'll start talking about him fighting. Good? Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
Okay, guys, let's go as fast as we can.
Stipe, of course, a disappointing result for you tonight. Can you put into words, I guess, kind of what the emotions are for you right now?
Oh, it sucks. Losing is not fun. I mean, losing is not fun at all. I mean, it sucks. But, you know, in perspective, I look at it, I'm going home right now. My beautiful wife is having my child. There's better things in life than losing. You know, it sucks. You know, I want to come back, get a rematch, of course. But listen, right now, it's DC's day. Good for him.
Can you talk about how you thought the fight was playing out? Because it did seem like you were having some success early on.
I think I was winning the fight. You know, I took him down one time for a little bit. You know, I was home against the cage. You know, he was some good shots, and I was hitting with some good shots. You know, I was going back and forth, but I felt I was backing him up a lot more. And then, you know, caught with a good right hand, or whatever it was, elbow, I think it was. I don't know, something. He's caught with right hand, whatever it was. It's a good shot. What are you gonna do? It's part of the game. Heavyweights, like I say all the time.
Yeah, you mentioned your family. I mean, you're the last guy to make any excuses or take away from DC. But I mean, how much was what was going on weighing on you this week?
I lost. Plain and simple. I mean, there's no excuses. He's a better man tonight.
Thank you, Steve.
Just, Stipe, I just wanted to ask you, early on, you know, you were keeping DC at the end of the right hand, and it seemed like he was able to close the distance on you. You know, did he do something to be able to get himself inside where, you know, he landed that one combination, that 1-2, and a couple shots on the inside where he seemed to get closer?
No, I mean, I think I was doing everything right. I felt comfortable, and then I just, like I said, got me that overhand right, like getting out of the clinch, and it was a weird angle. It's, you know, what are you gonna do? You know, game over.
And did you know, how bad, like when you went down, were you out or, you know, were you?
I mean, I got hit a couple times, and then the ref jumped in. I looked at him like, what are you doing? And then, I mean, it was definitely a good stoppage. You know, he hit me with 3 unanswered punches. And what are you gonna do?
Stipe, how you doing? Dana says Stipe is not done yet. He's one of the best in the world, and he'll be back. For you, your future, I know you want to go home and enjoy the birth of your daughter, but, you know, where do you kind of go from here, I guess?
Home. I'm gonna go home. That's all I care about right now. I'm gonna go home. I mean, listen, and that's all you guys want to hear. Who's next? We want to do. Of course, I want a rematch. There's no question. But right now, I got bigger fish to fry, man. I got my daughter out of the way. That's the battle I got to win right there.
Do you know how much time do you want to take off? I mean,
no. Right now, to enjoy my daughter, enjoy my family. We're starting a family. Happens here. Hopefully not right now. So far, my wife's good. So I'm trying to get home. I got a plane waiting for me right now. I'm gonna fly home and get home early in the morning and get to hang out with her.
And you described kind of what happened with the shot he hit you with.
Yeah.
Was it? Did it stun you? Was it something that maybe you saw or that he was doing?
I don't know. Apparently I didn't see it because they put me down and finished the fight. So apparently I didn't see it. No, like I said, I mean, you come with a good right. I mean, like I said, it's heavyweight division. You got 4-ounce gloves on. You don't have to hit hard. You're not big. You know, you weigh 246. You got a lot of behind that weight. You know, a lot of punch behind that weight. A lot of weight. I'm talking too fast here. He had the weight behind that punch. You know, he caught with a good punch. You know, I lost.
And you know, it's hard to look back the last 2.5 years when you just lose, but can you kind of encapsulate what the last 2.5 years have meant to you as heavyweight champion?
Amazing. I was a champ. It was great. Loved life, you know. I thank the fans, the UFC. I mean, it was great. I mean, listen, I'm not done, you know. I'm gonna take some time, enjoy myself, and, you know.
Stipe, right here. It seems like this DC versus Brock Lesnar fight is going to happen next. Obviously, you know, fighting Brock Lesnar, a massive payday, life-changing type of stuff. Do you think going forward, any part of you is going to kind of think about the what if you know, you would come out of this fight on top?
I'm having a daughter. That's pretty much life-changing. I don't know about that, but listen, like I said, I don't worry about anything else until, you know, task at hand. And listen, tonight was, you know, I had a task at hand, and fortunately it wasn't my night, you know. He's a better man, but now right now I'm going to go home and, you know, enjoy my child, and I'll figure it out from there.
Well, hopefully this is the last question, but who do you think wins that fight between DC?
I really don't care. Honestly, at least my worries.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks, guys. By the way, you like my suit? Pretty good, right? Thanks.
It's Wade, MMA Heat. Just want to let you know if you're enjoying this, please know we have 2 channels. You're on Karen's channel, Karen Bryant. We also have youtube.com/MMA Heat. That is a company channel. I usually upload all the content there that Karen's not part of. She was in the shows for FS1 this week, so I was kind of on my own. But anyway, I want to put this in her channel because it is a special moment, and I want to make sure as many people as possible can see it. But please help spread the word, subscribe to the other channel if you're not already, and thanks to everybody for your support. One last thing, Karen and Alan will have their weekly podcast Monday. Karen and I are going to stay in Vegas, so unfortunately it's going to be a Skype podcast, but they will be doing the podcast on Monday, so stay tuned. Everybody wondering about DC. I passed him in the hallway on the way here. He was headed in the locker room. He obviously wants to shower, clean up. He has a huge entourage of people with him. A lot of family, a lot of friends. I'd have to guess at least a couple dozen people. So, plus he has to do post-fight interviews for FS1 and maybe a few minutes.
Because you don't mess with my fighters. That's why. Hey, I protected from a lot of people, but man, Brock looked like he wanted to kill him.
We're gonna have to jump him in there right now. I'm happy that I got guys that'll fight for me. You know, you guys think Rosendo pushing Brock Lesnar or something. Last night at Town Square, we were at dinner, me and my family. And one of my friends were going to leave to go to a show. And they wouldn't let him out of the restaurant because they said it was an active shooter in the area. So we're all on the ground with our kids and my whole family. We're like 60 people in there. And some of my sponsors from Oak Grove, some of the guys are like old military guys and FBI Special Forces guys. Bob Cook and Rosendo Sanchez and these guys, they ran towards where the shooters were because they said that they had a lot of them and they would have a chance to try to stop the person before they got to hurting anybody else. So where everybody else was on the floor scared, Bob Rosendo and the rest of those guys ran to exactly where the shooting started and even ran past the police. The police were there. They ran past the police into this arcade where the guy dropped his gun or something. So they, those guys will go out there and protect not only me, but my family. And that's more important than anything. So I got guys that work for me and fight for me in the gym, but they care about my family, my wife and kids more than anything. And that showed last night that they're real true friends.
Where was that?
It was at the town square. Yeah, the town square last night.
Well, DC, as incredible as that scene sounds like, it was a pretty incredible scene in there tonight.
Yeah.
I imagine pretty emotional for you overall. I know it's all happening very quickly, but man, has it set in yet? Give us an idea of what this moment feels like for you.
I can't really explain how it feels right now. It's such a big thing, something that seemed so impossible before. I left the heavyweight division ranked the #2 guy in the world, though, and I didn't get to fulfill my journey in this division because Kane was the champ. And if I had to make that same decision today, I would do the same thing and went down because I would never fight Kane. And I never would have done this tonight without him and all the rest of my training partners. But he's been, what Velasquez has been to me is unbelievable. It's unmatched that he showed me that becoming a champion was possible because he's the first guy from AK to do it. And told me on numerous occasions that there was no way I could lose this fight tonight. Trained with me tirelessly, put himself on the line, and I really appreciate him for it. He's a great friend. I love that guy.
Can you talk about how you felt coming in tonight? Because Dana was here a little earlier, and he said, you know, you were having some back issues in camp. And then he said that, you know, you told us you were fine after the fall. He said, yeah, but he had a little bit of leg issue, you know.
Yeah.
And now we see your hand wrapped up there as well, which I'm assuming might have happened in the fight. But how banged up were you? How were you feeling coming into tonight?
You know, early in the fight camp, it was the extra weight, right? I usually train about 230, but I was training like 245, 250. So the extra weight was having a toll on my body, trying to train as I want to and carry the extra weight. It was very difficult. And early, I hurt myself, and I was out. I called Dana. I was supposed to do an EA Sports deal, and I was like, yo, my back is out. I can't even get off the couch. And so I stayed home, and he was like, calling me, like, how are you feeling? I was like, just give me a few days. I'll get in the hyperbaric chamber, and I'll get back to work. My leg, I fell. I hurt my leg. I had a scratch. It was a little swollen, but whatever, you know. I'm a fighter, man. I'm a grinder. I'll get through whatever I can. I'm 39 years old. Things start to hurt a little bit more as you age. You guys ever think about, like, I'm 39 years old, and I just did this. This is the craziest thing in the world.
Can you talk about how the fight was playing out in your mind? Because, I mean, obviously he's a big guy and hits hard. He was having some success as well.
Yeah, you know, when we fight, we try to get the guy's timing. So that's kind of what I was doing, like seeing how he hit and seeing how fast he was and everything. And, you know, he took me down and he tried to punch me and I was getting up. And, you know, it all hurts. You know, Stipe is a big, strong guy. He's a great champion. But it wasn't anything abnormal. You know, like, I was like, wow, he hits hard, but not abnormally hard. So when I figured that out and I kind of got a bit of his timing and kind of figured that it wasn't going to be one punch that kind of slept me, I was like, okay, now I can start to go forward, march into him and try to get into the clinch. And that's what I started doing, and I started having success there, you know, hitting him with the jab and hitting him with a couple right hands. And then early in the fight, we got into a clinch position. And you guys know one of my favorite positions is a collar tie and uppercuts. Well, I'm sure they planned for that. But Rosendo and I have been working on going collar tie, uppercut, and then following it with a right hook. And so after the first one, I think he tried to block the uppercut, but the right hook was coming, and it landed beautifully.
Yeah. Last thing for me, I mean, you've put this deadline on your career, but, you know, you told Fox that, hey, you might want to defend the light heavyweight title. Dana said he's okay with that plan, you know, while you wait for Brock to be eligible. So lay out for us. I mean, I know this just happened and you're enjoying the moment, but lay out for us the fights that are going to happen for you to close your career.
I'm going to take some time first. I'm going to go spend some time with my wife, Selena, and my kids, and we're going to go do something and hang out a little bit, and then we'll decide. But I'm at a point now where it's going to be very difficult to fight a Curtis Blades or a, I don't even know who's coming up at 205, to be honest with you. I don't really know who. Maybe Gustafsson fights well in August, but last time Gustafsson and I fought, we made no money. Like, he's got all these fans, but nobody buys pay-per-view. So it's weird. I was like, do you want to go to war and make so much less money? I mean, I fight Brock Lesnar, I'm getting paid. So I want to fight fights that make sense. So this guy's going to have to do something very special to earn a fight for the 205-pound belt, and I'll do it. I'll go down and fight and wait for Brock. So if I fought again around November, I could fight again around March and be done.
DC, right here. Can you just describe the scene in the octagon there with Brock, how that all unfolded? How aware were you that he was going to be cage side? Did you only notice after the fight?
No, it was weird because when I run sprints before every fight. We go out, we find a hallway, and I just bust out as many sprints as I can to get my heart rate up. As I was walking back into the arena, I see Brock Lesnar walking behind me, so I'm like, oh, what's Brock Lesnar doing here? Kind of like, oh, okay. Then when I'm in the octagon waiting for Stipe, he was standing there kind of grimacing, like smirking at me. So I was like, oh, well, I guess Brock Lesnar's here to pick a fight. And so I called him out. I've been knowing him for a long time. I told him I want to kick his butt, and I will kick his butt when we fight.
Yeah, and Dana mentioned that a little bit, that you guys have a history. Can you just describe your history?
I've known Brock since 1997. That's why when he pushed me like that, it was very odd. I was like, yo, I saw Marty Morgan out there. You never seen Morty's. Last time I saw Morty, Brock was getting his face bashed in by Cain Velasquez. I was like, wow, Morty, you guys are back. Like, they're back in the game, and I've known Brock and I wrestled in the 1998 junior college finals together. I was 197. He was the heavyweight champ. Then when he was at Minnesota, I was at Oklahoma State, so we wrestled each other twice a year in dual meets. Not against each other, but the teams wrestled each other. And then when Brock was wrestling at WWE, he was always great to me and my family. We'd go to the matches. He'd take pictures with my kids. And I guess when you step in the octagon, like your emotions are raised a little bit. And Brock pushed me. And then Rosendo pushed him, which was absolutely crazy. Because Rosendo was like 5'0". And but that's what my team does for me.
I know the pro wrestling fan, and you probably really enjoyed that. But
I did.
Some of the feedback online is, stage, WWE fake.
Hey, stage, they're idiots. Fine, stay broke. You got a guy like Brock Lesnar in front of you, and you don't go crazy on him? Are you crazy? When Brock decided to step in the octagon with me, he's a pro wrestler. He does fake fighting. So I'll do fake fighting with you until I put my fist up upside of your face. I'll do fake fighting with you, Brock, and then I'll punch you upside your head. So yeah, you guys call it fake online. I see a whole bunch of fighters. Oh, it's so fake. I don't want to watch this. Tune in and keep lacing my pockets. You guys got to get on board. These guys get on the microphone after their fights and say, yeah, it's whatever the UFC decides. Okay.
And last thing, I know you've been very outspoken against, PED users and everything. You feel that disqualifies you from everything. just address that side of this situation.
Brock's got to be clean, man. I'm not going to fight him if he's not clean. And we'll do USADA testing, and we'll do other testing. We'll do testing above USADA to make sure this man's clean. Because I'm not going to fight him if he's cheating. I've done that on a number of occasions already. I don't want to fight him if he's dirty, man. Do it the right way.
Can you elaborate? What can you do? What would your recourse be? You saw it as a standard. What would you be able to do above that?
You kind of put me in a hard position, right? Because I can't really say much in terms of USADA because USADA's been great to me. I've been in this testing program since 2001. But when you watch boxing, sometimes the guys do USADA testing and they do independent testing. And I just want him tested all the time. He's going to be getting tested even if I got to pay for it. We'll get him tested as often as we need to make sure he's clean.
I want to ask you the personal thing of this. In your career, you've been booed by fans, even though most people in this room would say what a good guy you are, and seemed kind of unfair. And you've come up short to John Jones and the biggest events, and you showed your emotion in the ring. To now be able to walk in the ring and you heard the people chanting DC. to win the championship, to finally be on top of the mountain. There's nowhere else to go. What is that like?
Oh, Kevin, it's not even. It didn't start with Jones. It dates back to 2000 when I was 15 years old. I went to the World Championships and got third. I was second in the NCAA championships to Cael Sanderson. In the Olympic semifinals, I lost to one of the 10 greatest wrestlers of all time to finish fourth. And then to come and fight Jones and lose twice. I've come up short in a lot of situations, but all those situations are earned. They don't say, well, DC, you're a great guy. We're going to put you in these big spots. I just had never been able to cash in. And tonight I was able to cash in, and it's just the most amazing thing. It almost feels like destiny. Like, we're going to wait till I saw more people saying than anything that I was going to get just demolished, and I was out of my prime. I'm not ready to compete. And I'm like, how do you know how I feel daily? You don't know me, So it felt like a culmination of an athletics career that spans forever. And I know people will say, why not get out right now on top, on the peak? But I feel like I can still compete because I'm such a competitor. I will drive Selena crazy if I don't have anything to do. I'm home at like 2 weeks after the fight, and she's like, go to the gym. Because I'm like wrestling with her and stuff.
Is there a chance, I asked Dana this question, but is there a chance that you would stay on beyond March if, let's say for the sake of argument, you defend the light heavyweight title and you're successful against Brock sometime next year, and then that other guy that's out is ready to fight at heavyweight, would you consider another fight with him?
I mean, I would if he's around, but I don't know if he's going to be around. But honestly, at this point, does he even deserve it? All these fights, and I hold the cards now. You may have won the fights, but I hold the cards. I'm the one that competed. I'm the one that went up and did something that you were not going to do. I went and fought the baddest man on the planet, the most successful heavyweight champion of all time, a great guy, a great champion, a guy that does everything the right way, and I won. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen.
And I will end with this. You talked before the fight about potentially being the greatest fighter of all time. And, Mighty Mouse would be in that conversation, George St. Pierre, and, of course, you and John. John never actually lost in the octagon. And I know you say his fight last year disqualified him, but he beat you in 2015 when he did not have that issue.
USADA wasn't around yet, just to be...
Okay. And I guess to end that question, though, do you feel the need then to have a win over him so you can make that argument that I'm the greatest?
I think that with this, I don't need him. Look, this tonight, right, for everyone that said you're a fake champion, you're not a real champion, can't question this one, right? You may question that light heavyweight title, and you can question it to the grave, but I have something completely separate from him, and I'm very grateful for it because everything was tied to that guy. No matter how much I beat everybody up, it was always, well, you lost to Jones. Now, in this heavyweight division, a division that I never got to compete in and complete my journey in, I went and I completed it and became the champ. So I'm a champion. I am one of the greatest fighters of all time. And you're right. I love DJ and I love GSP. And it's going to be one of the three of us.
Daniel, to your left. You've accomplished so much at light heavyweight, as a light heavyweight champion. In a way, it sometimes kind of overshadowed all your accomplishments at heavyweight just a few years back. Undefeated, never lost a round, beat a who's who of heavyweight contenders, champion in another organization. Now that you're the heavyweight champion as well, do you think that, let's say you defended the heavyweight title a couple of times, that there could actually be a debate about were you a greater heavyweight or a greater light heavyweight? Could kind of bring that back into focus?
I think now when you get 2 championships, people are going to question that regardless. Like, I mean, at 205, we never started starching guys like this, not at this level, always going to... The fact that you're in the conversation and people are talking about you is what you want. You just don't want to be a person that people are indifferent about. As long as they're talking, I'm happy.
And just my quick follow-up to that, because I know you have commented leading up to this fight about the GOAT conversation, the greatest of all time. It seems like it's definitely a bullet point in your favor that you're part of 2 conversations now. Yeah. And the other guys that we talk about in that context are not really talked about that way, where we compare them in 2 simultaneous divisions. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, that's a big honor for me to separate myself from some of the greatest fighters of all time. It is a massive, massive honor. Only Conor McGregor did it at the same exact time. It's a big deal, you know. It's a big deal, and I'm very excited about it.
DC, right here. You said you hold the cards now, holding the 2 belts, and do you envision? I mean, you got Lesnar next. Dana White says you got Lesnar next. Do you envision a rematch with Stipe one day?
Stipe is such a great fighter that he may go and just knock everybody else again and find himself right back in the same position. Not many guys can beat him. This result tonight changes nothing about Stipe Miocic. He's a true champion in every sense of the word, and he's got a beautiful wife at home. They're about to have their first kid, and I wish him nothing but luck when he comes back. But he may find himself back in that position. It just has to be before March 20th, 2019. Because if it's past that date, I'm not doing it.
And you mentioned wrestling Sanderson 6 times in college, the Jones fights. Chasing to do something great. Was that the thing that has been driving you to now?
It's my whole life. I mean, it's my whole life. I represented Team USA for the first time when I was 15 years old. And that's what I've done my whole life. I said this on a few occasions this week. I've lived in these moments, you know, these big fights, big stages for wrestling, big sports moments, and I just really try to do my best, to be honest with you. I get nervous, I get scared, I don't know if I'm going to win. I just go out there and try to do my best and let the chips fall where they may. I'm going to go out there and fight everybody. I'm not afraid of anybody. I feel like my skills match up with most people, and I'll just go fight. I'll just let it all fly, and that's what I do, and it's worked 21 out of 23 times, and I think that's a pretty good percentage.
DC, to your left, you said that you saw Brock Lesnar, you weren't expecting him. So what do you think you would have said after the fight had Brock Lesnar not even been a part of the picture if he wasn't here tonight? Do you know what you would have said or what you were thinking of saying?
Yeah, I would have said, Bob, Joe, I don't know, you know, and because I was feeling exactly that until I saw him. I was like, okay, I need to tell this guy something because he's obviously here for a fight. But just be forever grateful and thankful for the opportunities the UFC has given me. Thank Dana White and the fans that support me. I love them and tell them I appreciate them not giving up on me, even in my darkest moments. Say I love you to Selena, my son Daniel, and my daughter Marquita. Tell my mom and dad I love them. Those types of things. So in essence, Brock Lesnar stopped me from crying in the octagon again. Yeah, so yeah, he kind of distracted me from saying all that stuff, and that would have made me cry again. I don't need to be another meme.
You say there's no other 205ers out there that are standing out to you to be next. And Volkov was here. He weighed in, so obviously he's thought of as a high contender.
Won't fight him.
Okay. And
not a big enough fight.
Lewis got a win. Wasn't the prettiest win, but...
Not a big enough fight.
So it's Lesnar, and that's it?
It's going to be Lesnar or a guy like Miocic, Jones. Big fights.
Does that mean you'll relinquish the light heavyweight belt sooner rather than later and let that
If
division
Gustafsson
go?
does something very special, I'll go fight him again because he's been acting like he won the first fight.
Okay.
Gustafsson can get it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Daniel, DC, it was right here.
Okay.
It was great watching you celebrate with your team in the octagon. It was great watching you celebrate with your family. As we were walking over here, we saw your kids holding each one of your belts, which was a great visual. But have you had a chance to talk to Kane yet?
Yeah.
What was that like, and what did Kane say to you?
Cain Velasquez was in the back because he always comes to the fights. He sits in the back with me warm up. He walks with me to the staging area when I go to walk to the octagon. He hugs me and then he turns around and he goes and he watches from the locker room. And when Jones was finishing me last year, he ran from the locker room and started yelling at John McCarthy because he thought he took too long to stop the fight. So he cares, man. He came to the back and I don't want to like ruin the aura of Cain Velasquez, but he'd been crying a little bit. But he said he was so proud of me and he knew I was going to do it. And I told him thank you because without him I never could. I mean, people think that people get a little sick of our relationship publicly, you know, PDA. But he's one of my best friends. He's one of the best people you could ever meet in your entire life, man. He is a great human being. It's unbelievable. And he was very proud of me today as he saw me when I walked into the gym 9.5 years ago. Like, wow, this is how far you've come.
What does it mean right now? I mean, we've heard about him coming back. Is he close to a return? I mean,
man, let me tell you something. The reason the fight was so easy today was because, again, for the last 8 weeks, I've been getting beat up by Cain Velasquez. He's still the best, man. He's the best heavyweight the UFC's ever seen. He does things that you just don't expect somebody to do. I mean, still, out of shape, he comes in there and he does 3-4 rounds with me, and I'm exhausted. He wrestles. He comes and he does the cardio bike with me, even though he has nothing on the horizon. He just wanted to make sure that I had the best opportunity to win this fight, so he helped prepare me for it.
All right, last question. When Conor won the second belt, they had to go steal it from Tyron Woodley. Whose belt is the second
mine.
belt?
I told Dana yesterday, make sure there's 2 at the arena. I had this great feeling that I was going to win this fight, and we got it done.
Hi,
you guys let me go?
How exciting is it? I'm back here.
Okay.
Hi. How exciting is it for you as a WWE fan to, even before you get to the fights, to like talk trash with the guy who's the champ over there?
That's crazy. You know me, I love wrestling. Yeah, I watched some WWE stuff this weekend. I watched WrestleMania back in the day. I love it, man. I think it's great. But look, Brock Lesnar is the champion of the WWE. So when he comes over here, there's no script. There's no Vince McMahon saying, DC, lay easy on the punches. There's no Braun Strowman that when Brock punches him hard on purpose isn't going to respond. The moment Brock Lesnar punches me, I'm going to get in his ass. And we're going to have him running across that octagon like a lot of those other dudes did. So he can be big and bad and tough right now. But once that cage door closes, he's going to have to answer for his words. And he's definitely going to have to answer for that shove.
Could you see yourself appearing on some programming over there and maybe taking an F5 or hanging out with Vince?
If they wanted me over there, I'd go over there. I'd go beat Brock in a wrestling match. Maybe they do us a shoot match. Put us in singlets and see who wins. And I can go major decision him or something. Maybe pin him.
DC, real quick. While I certainly would never want to get in the way of you getting a Lesnar payday that you would deserve, how do you explain the moral dilemma of saying Jones doesn't deserve the platform to speak for his failed test, but Brock would deserve a title shot right after failing a test?
Maybe we're living in my world now, so I dictate the rules. So yeah, and plus I just really don't like Jones, so I'll never give him a platform.
DC, to your right over here. Your hand is wrapped. I think you're also icing it in the back. What's going on?
I hurt my finger. I don't know. I really don't know what they're called, but it's the one right next to the thumb. I hit him, and once it was over, like I hurt my finger. I have to get an X-ray tomorrow, see what happens, but I'll be fine.
In a lot of your fights, you push forward and you press, but you were kind of moving back up against the cage. Were you trying to bait him into the clinch to, like you explained earlier, that combination that you and Rosento had been working on?
Yeah, I was trying to get him to come forward because if you watch early, he was kind of tentative too because he expected me to come forward. Right. But then when he found some success, he started to press me. I got in the clinch. He threw me on the ground. I got up. He kind of held on me. I'm like, okay, use your energy to hold me. And then once I realized, like, the punches are hard but nothing crazy, then I started to go more into him. And that's when I'm at my best. And most guys wilt, and, Stipe's a great guy, and I like him. But there's one habit that he has. Every time he gets out of the clinch, he leaves his hands low. Guys just don't put him in the clinch enough. So to Stipe Miocic, as a friend, man, work on that clinch position because it's going to come into play again.
Thanks.
DC right here. I know the Brock fight is, of course, most likely next, but if you do indeed decide to go back down to 205 before retiring next March, how difficult do you think it would be to make that weight considering the weight you put on for this heavyweight title
I didn't
fight?
put on any weight. This is what I weigh. I weigh, I saw somebody say, someone texted me on Twitter, you gained 40 pounds in 6 months. I'm like, no, I didn't. I weigh 235 when I step in the octagon at 205 sometimes. I'm like 228 on fight night. The only time I weigh 205 is for about an hour on weigh-in day. I weigh 205 for an hour on weigh-in day. That's it. I cut weight until I can't cut weight anymore. Once I'm at 205.0, not 204.9, not anything less than 205, I go weigh in, and then I start to put my fluids back in me. I don't have to be 205. I just have to weigh in at 205. I gained no weight. I weigh 245 naturally. Hey guys, thank you. Can you believe this shit? It's amazing, right? It's fucking crazy. Let's get some photos. Get over here. I want my pictures to live forever like Connor's did.
Got that haircut.
Tell her when I can get up, please.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. All of you. I really appreciate you all. Thank you guys. And now I can do this. Hey, thank you all. I really do appreciate everything you guys. You guys, fans are bored. You guys are writing stuff to try to make a change. I appreciate that.